is Michael and I'm 36-year-old. I was very lost in a very dark world, and then the Lord came into my life and turned the darkness into light. I was very depressed, suicidal, had no hope for my life, and then the Lord showed me hope. I grew up in a broken home. My dad was in the mafia. He was a drug dealer. My mom was an alcoholic and a drunk, so I grew up in a very broken home. I got involved with gangs when I was about 12. Got involved with drugs when I was about 10. Got kicked out of every school I went to. And then around 18, I joined the military because I wasn't really doing anything with my life. In and out of jail most of my life. And then in the military I got hurt. I broke my back and they did surgery on my knee and then my shoulder and then my stomach, and I got hooked on pain pills, which led to heroin. So I then got hooked on heroin for about 9 years. I was shooting up 4 times a day. And one day I got into a fight with some police officers, about 5 cops, and they threw me into the back of the cop car. And at the time I was possessed with demons because when I was a younger kid I got involved with witchcraft and I got involved with Satanism. I did animal rituals, I did seances, I did blood sacrifices. I was into ouija boards, some really dark things. And in the back of the cop car, I was drunk, high, and I started smashing my head on the glass, and I cracked my skull open on the 7th time. And after that, they took me to the hospital. They put 11 staples in my forehead. After the hospital, they brought me to the jail, and then they threw me in a tank called the drunk tank, where they put all the drunk people to let them sleep it off. And when I was in there, I was sitting up on a bench, and I fell to the ground. And when I fell to the ground, I had so much blood loss that I thought that I was gonna die. So I was calling out to the guards. I was like, somebody please help me, someone help me, I'm gonna die. And I heard this voice say, follow me. And I said, okay. And when I said okay to that voice, all the demons left. They just completely fled. I was completely delivered from all demonic possession. And then I passed out. I woke up 7 days later with the Bible on my chest. Don't know how I got there, but I started reading it, which was a miracle because before then I couldn't read. So this was the first book that I ever read. So up until I was 28, I couldn't read. And then this Bible was on my chest. I started reading it, and I got to Romans 12:2, where it says, don't be conformed by the world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind so you can prove that perfect and acceptable will of God. And I realized I was conformed to the world and that Satan was my father. And I asked the Lord, I was like, all right, Jesus, if you're real, please help me. And 3 months went by and I was facing 7 years in prison for assault on a police officer, resisting with violence, battery, and drunk and disorderly. So I had 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. And I experienced the grace of God. So instead of going to prison for 7 years, the judge sentenced me to go to college and get my degree. So I did 4 years in college and got my bachelor's degree in sports medicine. So before then, I was kicked out of, when I was a kid, I was kicked out of 4 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 3 high schools. I was expelled in 10th grade for throwing a desk at a teacher. I was kicked out of my one other school because I punched out the principal. And then I was kicked out of the other school because I put 4 kids in the hospital. So I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of rage. I was a very violent kid. So once I realized this, school was the way of the Lord redeeming what was taken from me, my education. So once I fully surrendered to Him, He restored everything that was taken from me. He removed the anger in me that I had. He took out this violence in me towards people and filled me with a love for others. So now, like, before I met the Lord, I didn't see people with any value. I saw people as just as an object. The Lord changed my view towards people. Like, now I see people with the created value. You know, I can see people through the eyes of Christ. When I was in jail, I thought I was going to prison. I didn't know what was going on. I had no hope. When I heard His voice, I didn't know what to expect. When I called out to Him, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if He was going to answer me. I didn't know if He was real. I just called out because the Bible said, call out to Him and you shall be saved. And I did, and He rescued me from hell. I lived in hell for a long time. I felt like my life had no meaning at all. And that all changed once the Lord came into my life and showed me my true meaning and my true value. My value isn't defined by myself, but my value, it was defined on the cross and what He did for me. So right now I am just a traveling missionary. I go wherever the Spirit leads, and I literally just share my story of hope with people who want to listen. So my next plans are to leave Porto on Monday and head to Barcelona for a few days. And after that, I really don't have any plans. I'm gonna travel Europe for about 3 months and then possibly go over to the Middle East and help out in Turkey because of the earthquake that just happened. And then see if I can maybe help out in Ukraine with all the stuff going on there right now. And then I'd like to go to Israel and just share the Lord with people there. And then travel over to India and then the Middle East or Asia. And just continue traveling and sharing the Lord with people, whoever He puts in my path.